If you're a songwriter or a music creator, finishing your songs can be super difficult, but sometimes even getting that spark or that idea to start a song can be just as hard. So in this week's podcast, I'm going to be talking about 11 different ideas and ways to start your songwriting or music creation journey. Hello, my name is Pete Johns. This is Studio Live today, and my goal around here is to help you create, record, and release your best music. We do that here through tips and tricks and tutorials and this weekly podcast. So if you want to learn more, jump on over to studiolivetoday.com. Check out all of the links to all the ways that you can interact with me and with the community. So let's talk songwriting or music creation, because whether you're writing something that's going to have lyrics or whether you're even just creating some music, there's ways that you can develop ideas. You can get imagery for the musical side, or of course, if you're writing lyrics, you can get some ideas about what your song is going to be about. We're going to start with something really simple, and that is your own life experiences. So I've written a lot of songs that are kind of autobiographical, and they're about things that have happened to me or that I've gone through. Not all of them. I know there's a lot of songs that I put out there that people are like, Pete, are you okay? This song seems pretty extreme. Well, they're not all about me, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But your own life experiences are a super great well of information and of ideas and ways that you can actually write a song. For instance, I wrote a song called Anxiety. Because guess what? Like a very large number of folks, especially creative types, I was suffering from anxiety. So I wrote a song called Anxiety, and it was basically like a letter to myself and a letter to my anxiety, more to the point, talking about all of the feelings that I was having, but at the end of the day, telling anxiety that it can just bugger off. I didn't want it around. So that was like a cathartic experience, but I was able to draw on my own personal life experiences to create the song and to paint a picture. And to this day, I always say this, I'm proud, but also a little bit saddened that so many folks can relate to that song about anxiety and depression, because many folks are struggling and suffering. And goes without saying, but I say it every time anyway, if you are having issues with anxiety or depression or any mental health, there are people out there to help you. Please reach out to a mental health professional. There are other people going through this, and there are people that are going to be able to give you strategies and techniques to deal with it. Let's talk about number 2. Really simple, listening to music to get inspiration. Yeah, it's really important that you as a creator are listening to music. Now, my tip on this, and I got this from a bunch of other folks in the past, is to listen to music in the space in which you are creating music. It does a couple of things. It can get the creative juices flowing, and it can help you learn your listening environment. So if you're using headphones to mix and master, or if you've got monitor speakers or a studio setup, use that. Use that to actually listen to music for pleasure. I sit here in my studio and I throw on Ben Folds and Radiohead and Muse and Foo Fighters and Nirvana and Pearl Jam, all the bands that I like. And I also listen to your music, and I listen to new and up-and-coming indie artists to get inspired, because quite often it'll just be a chord pattern, or it'll be a melody, or it'll be a theme, some words that I hear in a song that make me think about a whole nother song. So, for instance, I wrote a song recently called One Moment. It's my latest single. You can check it out, petejohns.com. All my music is there, ready to stream on your platform of choice. But One Moment was written after listening to Radiohead's OK Computer album. And I really wanted to create something sort of like Karma Police or No Surprises, like a real emotive, sort of low down, melodic, but with lots of harmonies and with like a lower register voice. And then I was also listening to some Muse at the same time, and I wanted to get that kind of vibe in there as well. So I wanted something between a Radiohead ballad and like a Muse rockin' tune, and I ended up getting One Moment, which is not really like either, but I got there from the two. So I was able to use those to actually get there. So listening to music, doing your own listening. And look, if you can't listen to music in your environment, if you're just on the bus or if you're in the car, listen anywhere. It's still going to help you out. But do make sure that if you have ideas, note them down. Let's make that version 2.5, because I didn't put this specifically in here, but please keep your smartphone or a notepad or something nearby that you can record and note down your ideas, because you will forget them. Trust me, you will. Number 3, People watching. Yeah, not in a weird, creepy way, but in a, you're sitting at a cafe, you're having a quiet cappuccino, and you're looking around and you're noticing that something's going on. There's a dude there, and he's sitting there and he's checking his watch and he's checking his phone, and you're like, I wonder if he's on like a Tinder first date. I think his name's Eric, and he's matched with a girl called Sandy, and he's feeling really worried because he said to Sandy that he's actually a former famous ice hockey player because he hoped that she wouldn't know anything about ice hockey. So when she arrives, he needs to make sure he knows all of his. Like, you just go off on these tangents, or at least I do. And I find it really fun and interesting to just make up these backstories. Now, it's obviously not going to go up to the person and start pointing at them and going, I think you're doing... Like, no, it's nothing to do with that. But sometimes just seeing those things, and whether it's people related or whether you're seeing something going on, you could be in traffic and some guy cuts you off and you go, yeah, okay, that's going in a song. I wrote a song called Imagination where I was out walking and someone like just turned in front of me. I'm the pedestrian, and they don't indicate at all. They don't put their blinker on. They just vroom round the corner. And I'm writing this song called Imagination. I'm just like, not hard to use an indicator to tell us your direction or even estimate the way some haters are really just like, it helped me because I was writing this song at the time. And this one dude that cut me off gave me the perfect sort of rhyme and flow for that particular song. So little people watching never goes astray. Number 4, Noodle. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with noodling. I think sometimes, and some people, and I'm looking at myself here, we spend too much time noodling. And noodling is the art form of literally sitting with an instrument, sitting with your voice, and just singing or playing or trying different chord patterns or trying different progressions or just making up a melody or whistling a happy tune. And sometimes you strike lightning in a bottle. So I had a song called Never to Blame, and it's literally 2 chords most of the way through. It's just like an E7 and an A7 chord, and I just played it in this particular pattern one day and went, ooh, that's a really cool pattern. I'm going to record that into my voice memos, and that became one of my favorite songs to play just from noodling around on a couple of chords. So yeah, to spend your noodling time, what I like to call positive noodling or productive noodling, which is you're going to noodle, but either record your noodling session. Like we've all got studios, you can throw GarageBand on, you can use your voice memos app, record your noodling session, because if you capture something, if you capture lightning in a bottle, you may not, as I mentioned before, you may not remember it or be able to resurrect it or recreate it, and you want to be able to do those things. Number 5. I've done videos on this before. I've talked about this a bunch. If you are so stuck, nothing's working for you, do a speed thinking exercise. Now, I'm not going to do an example here in the podcast. There's another video. I'll link it down in the description if you're watching, or you can just search my name, Pete Johns Speed Thinking, on YouTube, and you'll come across a video where I show this technique. This is fabulous for all sorts of brainstorming, but it's really great for songwriting. What you do is you put 60 seconds on a timer and you get one concept or idea or item. It can be as vague or as specific as you like. You can look on your desk and go pencil, and then you hit the timer and you're like, all right, pencil, lead, sketch, drawing, art, artistic, lead, I've already said lead, retractable, erase. Like, you go down that track and you just write a whole bunch of words. And at the end of that, you go back to your word list and you're like, all right, what am I saying with this? Some of these are connecting together. So maybe my song that I based on the pencil is about feeling like I'm being erased. I could draw a metaphor that I want to actually be ink. I don't want to be pencil, because pencil can be erased. I want to be here permanently, and then it can go into like a spiraling like fear and anxiety. I don't know, but you get the idea. So yeah, look out for my latest song called I Ain't No Pencil, Don't Erase Me, Bro. Coming soon to a streaming platform near you. Speed thinking. It's a lot of fun as well. And get the kids to do it too. It's really great exercise to get the creative juices flowing. Number 6, movies and TV, believe it or not. I just went and saw the Barbie movie, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. And it already kind of got me thinking about some of the different concepts that they had in there, some of the concepts around the image of perfection, the image of, Barbie, a Barbie doll. And obviously there's songs like Barbie Girl, and a lot of people have already gone down that path. But there was an interesting thing in there about like the difference between the real world, and it kind of gave me this thought of, isn't social media, like they had in the movie, they have Barbie Land, And isn't social media kind of like Barbie Land sometimes, where everyone is just showing this almost toxic positivity all the time? Or the flip side, everyone is just at each other's throats, which, not to spoil the movie, is kind of where the movie goes down this track of not everything being perfect. So sometimes watching movies and TV can actually help you. I know. Your mum probably told you, get away from the TV, you're watching too much. I think sometimes watching what other people have created can actually help generate your own creative ideas. For instance, my favourite movie of all time is Back to the Future. I wrote a song called Time That Flies, 1.21. And then I grabbed some footage from a VHS tape of that and put that to my song. It's like one of my favourite songs that I've ever created because it's about something that I love. And other people who are Back to the Future fans can totally appreciate and link in with it because it's got a whole bunch of references related to the movie. So sometimes if you're completely at a junction, you're like, I got nothing creative. Okay, borrow someone else's creativity and use it, but use it to create something new and fresh. Number 7, talking to family and friends. Yeah, just having a yarn, having a chat, having a bit of banter can actually do you the world of good. So again, when you're being told don't go out drinking at the pub, well, sometimes going and drinking at the pub and chatting to your friends can actually generate a whole bunch of cool creative ideas. Now, you don't want to be the guy that's sitting there with a notepad writing down everything your friends say, going, that's going to make an amazing song. Thanks, Gavin. Because Gavin's going to be like, bro, put your notepad down and let's just have a beer and watch the footy. Or whatever you're doing at the time. Or it doesn't have to be drinking related. Go out for a cup of coffee. Go and catch up with a friend you haven't caught up with for ages and have a cup of coffee and just have a yarn with them about what's going on in their life. I'm sure you're going to get a whole bunch of cool information. You're going to come home and you're going to go, oh yeah, they were mentioning, I've never been into basket weaving, but when Mary sat down over a chai latte and told me all about her basket weaving endeavours, now I'm going to write a song called Weave Betty Weave, and it's going to be an amazing punk song. So there you go. Talk to your family and friends. They will give you some ideas that are going to help. And I wrote a song actually called Home, which I got after talking to a friend of mine who was coming home. And the song was all about their story, a little bit sort of dramatized. You don't have to stick to the facts. It's a beautiful part of creativity. It doesn't have to be all the facts. But I wrote this song about someone that was away and then things weren't working out for them and they were coming home. And it's all about why sometimes it's a good thing to come home. Not for everyone, but it doesn't have to be. Where are we up to? Number 8 is to take a walk. Go for a walk. Now, it doesn't have to be a walk on the wild side. I personally like to walk in nature. I've got a nice there's a place here in Adelaide called Linear Park, which don't worry, I'm not doxing myself there. Linear Park is literally about 20 kilometres long, so it goes from all the way up in the Adelaide Hills, all the way down through the city, and all the way out to the beach. So it's a really nice, picturesque, natural spot to walk around and to walk along the river. So when I feel the need for a bit of exercise, but B, to just sort of switch off. And yet, look, sometimes I'll stick a podcast on or I'll be listening to music while I'm walking around, but sometimes I'll just turn everything off. And again, just start writing down or start recording little ideas into my voice memos of what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling and what's going on. In fact, I did it the other day. I don't have my phone handy, but I've got an idea. That's right. It was called Stop, Breathe, Try Again. So I was listening to a Ben Folds song and I'm like, I really like this Ben Folds song, this new Ben Folds album. I want to write a song a bit like that. And for some reason, just into my head, I was walking around and I was thinking to myself, yeah, I've tried to write songs like this before and they haven't worked. And what I really need to do is just stop, take a deep breath and try again. And so I'm like, stop, breathe, try again. And look, is that going to turn into a full song? Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, it certainly is a lot of fun to attempt it. Number 9, let's talk about some technology. If you're like me and you're a bit of a nerd, you can use something like ChatGPT or use an AI engine. And look, not to write your songs. I know, don't get too upset. Nick Cave, I know you're not a big fan of it. I actually wrote a song using ChatGPT about how Nick Cave hates AI. It was a lot of fun. It's here on the channel if you want to search it. Just search Pete John's Nick Cave if you want to take a listen to that one after you've listened to this podcast. But yeah, you can use things like ChatGPT or other large language models to give you ideas. So, for instance, let's just say that pencil idea. I think I'm onto something there. So, what I'm going to do is give me 10 song ideas about being a pencil and not wanting to be erased. Now, this could go anywhere. We're doing this live or live to tape here, and we'll see what ChatGPT is going to generate out of this. Okay. It's giving them, they actually look pretty good. Let's go through these here for those, I haven't got it on the screen anyway for the video version, so you're not missing anything if you're on the audio version. Unfading line, a pencil's anthem about leaving indelible marks on the world and refusing to be erased. Graphite heart, a heartfelt ballad where a pencil expresses its desire to be cherished and preserved rather than discarded. Eternal sketch, a lively upbeat tune where a pencil celebrates the joy of creating lasting art and pleads not to be erased. Like, that's just the first three. How much fun are those ideas? So, and this is where I think, AI, which is not really AI, it's not really artificial intelligence. Don't worry, I'm not going to become an AI bro and jump on the bandwagon there. But it's an automated, human-led tool. That's the way I look at these sort of things. It just means that you can take something that you've got, and instead of to brainstorm ideas like that would probably take me half an hour. But with this, I love the idea of eternal sketch. I want to write a song now called Eternal Sketch, which is like a metaphor. It's about a pencil who celebrates the joy of creating lasting art and pleads not to be erased. Can't you already start feeling the metaphors between the pencil and between a person wanting to be here and wanting their contributions not to be erased and wanting to live forever? It can almost be like an eternal life kind of thing. So yeah, the Eternal Sketch. Anyway, yeah, use these tools not to replace the art, but to help. Just to give you a little kick up the bum every now and then can be good. Number 10, common expressions. So I wrote a song called For the Birds. It's one of my favorite songs. It was the first song on my album, the first album that I released back in 2018 called Selfish Aware, and it's called For the Birds. I wrote that because I heard that expression, and someone would say, oh, don't worry about that, that's for the birds. And I'm like, for the birds? I don't think there's a song called For the Birds. And I'm like, again, use that same sort of metaphor. I'm like, it's for the birds. That was the hook I wanted to go with. And I wanted to write this song about people, again, from that whole people watching things and from talking to family and friends. You can combine these ideas together. So I knew about someone who, they were stuck in the past and they weren't moving forward. They were treating people badly. And I'm just going to say all the things that are bad about this person and then just have it's for the birds. So basically worrying about people that are being negative instead of just walking away and leaving them to their own BS. It's for the birds. Just go with it. So yeah, just using some of those expressions. So you could combine that. You could go to ChatGPT and say, give me 10 old time expressions or phrases that aren't used much anymore, and see what it gives you. It could be like shenanigans. You're like, oh, I'm going to write a song about shenanigans. I don't know. Common expressions. And the 11, I know that top 10s are kind of popular, but I like to deliver above and beyond here at Studio Live today. And number 11, I'm not going to call it dreams. I'm going to call it early morning thoughts, because some of the best songs and some of the best ideas that I've ever had are in that subconscious to almost semi-conscious state when you first wake up. When you first wake up and you're thinking of something that just happened in your dream, or you've got a melody in your head or an idea for a chord or for some sort of arpeggio, whatever it happens to be, capture that. Look, it's going to sound weird. I've got examples, and if you've been around the channel, you've heard me play these. I have no shame in playing these. I've got these examples of me sounding completely groggy, just going, and then the bridge will have something to do with a frog that's in a blender but doesn't know that it's being boiled. It can be really weird and random, but if you capture that, they're those, what I like to say, or what I consider are unfiltered ideas. Because when you're conscious, you get these little nuggets of ideas and your brain will instantly go, but that's never going to work. Whereas when you're in that semi-conscious state, sometimes the ideas you get are actually better because you're like, oh, I'll just put it out there. And then later on, you might be looking at your stuff or listening to your voice memo and going, what the heck was I thinking? Yeah, that'll happen some, if not most of the time. But occasionally there'll be a little nugget of gold in there and you'll be like, oh, that's good. I'm going to go with that. That's awesome. So, using those early morning thoughts and trying to grab them. So, always having look. I know you shouldn't have your phone next to your head when you go to sleep. So, use an audio recorder or like an iPad or something, or just go completely old school and have a notepad and pen or something there. But have a way of capturing those ideas because they are going to be some of the best ideas that you're going to actually bring into your songwriting. So, I hope you got there's something in there for you. I can guarantee you that there's a little light bulb's gone off with at least one of those 11 ideas. Try some speed thinking. Go watch a TV show or a movie, but have a look at a little notes app next to you and just note down ideas. Go for a walk in nature. Catch up with a friend for a coffee and just have a chat and just do some people watching and it will generate ideas. Here's the thing. The problem really isn't that there aren't enough ideas for your songwriting and for your music creation. The problem usually is that your brain is trying to actually filter those and come up with a good or the best idea. Let the ideas flow. Let the crap come out so that you can unclog those pipes and all the good stuff will flow. I'm not loving this analogy, so I'm going to finish there. Thank you for watching or listening to this podcast. If you'd like to subscribe to the audio version, just search Pete John's Studio Live today on your podcatcher of choice, and feel free to leave me a review there. If you get value from these podcasts, leave me a review. If you're watching the video version, either the live premiere or catching up on the replay, thank you. Love it if you'd hit that little thumbs up button down below. Leave me a comment. What's your go-to songwriting idea? I'd love to hear from you. Please leave me a comment and let the community know what you do when you hit those songwriting or music creation blocks. As we say at the end of each and every show and video and podcast around here, please be kind to yourself this week, be kind to others, and keep creating. I'll see you real soon.